Welcome to a code report solution video. In this video, we're going to be covering problem 3 from our dynamic programming series, a problem entitled Sam and Substrings. The problem states Samantha and Sam are playing a numbers game. Given a number as a string with no leading zeros, determine the sum of all integer values of substrings of the string. For example, if the string is 42, the substrings are 4, 2, and 42, and therefore their sum is 48. Given an integer as a string, sum all of its substrings cast as integers. As the number may become large, return the value modulo 10 to the 9th plus 7. And note that the constraints for this problem, n, which is going to be the number of characters in our string, not the maximum value, but the number of characters in our string, can be up to 2 times 10 to the 5th. So let's take a look at an example. So in this example, we're going to be covering 4 different numbers, which are just 1 digit added to each of the previous numbers. So we'll start with 1, and then look at 12, and then look at 123, and then 1234. So for 1, it's pretty simple. We only have one substring, obviously, which is 1 itself, so the sum is going to be 1. For 12, similar to the example in the problem statement 42, we have 2 digits in our number or 2 characters in our string, which will give us 1, 2, and 12. So the sum of all of these strings cast to integers is going to be 15. If we look at 123, it's going to be the same subset as the previous number 12, but then also 3, 23, and 123, which when we sum all these together, we're going to get 164. And last but not least, for 1234, once again, you'll see that it has all of the numbers from the previous number, but 4 additional numbers. So 434, 234, and 1234. So by laying out these 4 examples, you can definitely see the recurrence relation in this problem. So if we highlight the digit that is added in each number, we can see that we're basically adding this digit to each of the previous numbers. So mathematically, we can sort of get this by multiplying each of the numbers previously by 10 and then adding our new digit. And that note that we're only doing this to sort of the most recently modified numbers. So the numbers at the beginning that are black, we're not using to construct the new numbers. We're just using sort of the red and blue ones. So if we take a look at for 123, when we add the 3 to 12 to get 123, we're taking 2 and 12, multiplying both of those by 10, then adding 3 to get 23 and 123, and then we're also adding 3. So if we work through this, basically what we're going to do is we're going to initialize an empty vector called dp, and we're going to also initialize a variable called answer. And we're going to start by just adding 1 to this, and then sort of adding to our answer the sum of all the current numbers in our dp vector. So when we come down to 12, so we're adding the digit 2, we're going to multiply every number in our vector called dp by 10. Then we're going to add our digit to each of those, which is going to be 2, which is going to give us 12. And then we're going to push back just the digit itself, 2. And so then we're going to sum all these up. 12 plus 2 is 14. And then we're going to add that to our answer and then get 15. So that's how you get 15 for 12. And if we do this one more time for 123, we're now adding 3. And so the first step, once again, is to multiply all of our numbers in our dp vector by 10, which gives us 120 and 20. Add 3 to each of these, or whatever our digit is, which is 3 in this case. And then once again, push back the 3, and then add these all up and add it to answer. And that's going to give us 164, which is 15 plus 149. So there's definitely a recurrence relation here, and that's how we can solve this problem using dynamic programming. However, this solution is actually going to fail because our vector is growing with the number of digits in, or number of characters in our string, this is going to be a quadratic solution. And because the upper limit on the number of characters in our string is 2 times 10 to the 5th, this won't actually work. So if our lower bound was a bit smaller, if it was 10 to the 4, this solution would work. But this is just sort of a first step in looking at this problem. So I'll show the code, but keep in mind this is not a full solution. It will pass some of the test cases, but not all of them. So this is our C++ solution for this problem. You can see at the top here, just as we showed, we're initializing a variable that's a long answer and a vector of longs dp, and then we're going to loop through for every character in our string s. The first thing we're going to do is loop through the elements in our dp vector and multiply each of them by 10, then add the value of the character, which we can get by taking the character minus the character 0, so this will convert it to an integer, and then we have to make sure that we're modulusing our number by what the problem states. So that sort of converts our current dp values to be affected for the current digit, and then we push back the digit as well, and then we just have our answer that we are plus equaling the sum of all the elements in our dp vector at this moment. So if we complete this, like I said, we'll solve some of the problems, but not all of them. And as I mentioned, the time complexity for the solution is quadratic. So obviously this isn't good enough. Let's see if we can do better. So if we go back to the diagram that we were looking at before, a way that we can sort of beat the quadratic is to look at how frequently each of these digits show up in all of the numbers that are taken to get our total sum. So if we construct basically a table of each of our digits, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we take a look at, in this final sort of row here, how often do each of these digits, 1, 2, 3, and 4, show up in the sort of 1,000 digit place, the 100th digit place, the 10th digit place, and the 1 digit place. And if we just make this table, we can see a pattern pretty clearly. So for our first digit 1, it shows up once in every single one of the sort of places where a digit can show up. And for 2, it shows up twice in every place other than the first digit, the digit in the 1,000th place, and so on and so forth. The third, it shows up 3 times, or the third digit, which happens to be 3, shows up 3 times, but not in the first 2. And the fourth only shows up 4 times in the 1 digit. So we have a very nice triangular pattern here. And if we zoom out on this a bit, we can basically create a formula which will, in a way, calculate sort of the weight for each digit. And if we can calculate the weight in linear time, then we can just multiply the value of our digit by that weight, and we'll have a linear solution. So the value added by SI, which is basically the character at index I in our string, or our digit, is that digit times this summation, which we'll come back to in a sec, times 1 plus I. So the I here is the index, so even though we have the digits 1, 2, 3, and 4, the indexes are going to be 0, 1, 2, and 3, so that's why we have 1 plus I. So that sort of takes care of these values. And this weight here is going to be just a fancy way of having sort of a running sum of these values here. So we want to be able to multiply 1 by 1,111. And then we want to multiply 2 by 111. And so if we just take these values, basically what we end up with is 111, 111, 1,111. So this summation, although it looks complicated, you're summing from I to n minus 1, where n is the number of digits or characters in your string, 10 to the I. It's really just a fancy way of saying, the first element in our sequence is going to be 10 to the 0, the second 10 to the 1, the third 10 to the second, and you just sum these up and you'll end up with these numbers. So once we have this formula, we can basically calculate these weights in linear time, and then we can just construct a for loop where we loop over each of the digits in our string, or the characters in our string, and multiply it by this sort of, or plug it into this formula, and then get our solution. So let's take a look at the code for this. So here's our C++ solution. We have our function substrings, once again, that just takes a string s. So we're initializing an integer n to be the size of our string s, and then we're declaring two vectors, which we're going to call a and b. A is going to store just the multiples of 10, so 1, 10, 100, 1,000, and then b is sort of going to be the sum of these weights. So you're going to end up with the 1, 11, 111, and 1,111 in your vector b. And we have to do some initialization here so that we don't end up with just all zeros. And so we come into our first for loop here. Because we've initialized index 0, we start our loop from 1, and we obviously just set our values in our vector a just by multiplying the previous element by 10, and then we have to do the modulus as the problem states. And to get the running sum of this, we just take our current element in our vector a and add that to the previous element in our vector b. And if you're thinking that seems very similar to a partial sum, hold on, I'll get to that in a sec. So once we've gotten through our first for loop, we now have our sort of weighted sum initialized, and we can compute the total sum of all of the substrings in our string in linear time at this point. So we have our final loop, we initialize our answer to be 0, and we're going to loop through each of the elements or characters in our string, and we're going to do a plus equals to answer. So here we're getting the value of our digit once again by subtracting the character 0. We're picking up the weight, which we're going to get from our vector b, and we're doing this in reverse order. If you remember, we sort of had 1,111, 111, 11, and 1, and we constructed these in increasing order. So we want to pick these up sort of reverse, which is why we have n minus I minus 1, and then the plus 1, I plus 1 is for the number of times we're going to see these values. And then we do a modulus here and a modulus at the very end just to make sure for our last case. And once we've gotten through this for loop, we have our full answer and we can just return it. So this solution has a time complexity that is linear. And you can see here, I've just put our formula. So this line here corresponds to our formula that we sort of derived in the previous visual solution. So this is, I guess, a very readable solution for those that are familiar with the basics of C++. But if you are an algorithm advocate, which I am, you can replace almost this entire function with 3 different algorithms. So as I mentioned, constructing the values in your vector b, this is exactly what a partial sum does. It calculates sort of the running sum of all the elements in another data structure, which will be a here. A is simply generating values based on a simple pattern, which is just 10 times the previous element. So there's an algorithm called generate, which we can use to set the values in A. And this, when you see a plus equals inside a for loop with a variable set outside the for loop, you should think accumulate in C++ 11 and C++ 14 and reduce in C++ 17. So on HackerRank, we only have C++ 14, so we'll be using accumulate here. And let's take a look at what that code looks like. So here, the first 2 lines are very similar, although we no longer have to set the 0 index of b because that'll be taken care of by our partial sum algorithm. So we're only setting the first index of a. And then we have our generate. So we're generating from the second element in A to the end of A, and we're basically just multiplying an integer I or a long I that we set to be equal to 1. And each time we multiply this by 10, and then we just set the current element at our index to be that value. So basically we're going to generate all the values in A starting with 1, and then every element after that will just be 10 multiplied by the previous element. And then using the values that we've calculated in A, we can use partial sum with sort of our source vector will be A, and then our target vector will be B. And really we could actually we wouldn't even need a custom generic lambda here if it weren't for the modulus, because this is the default behavior of partial sum, but we have to make sure that we're taking the modulus. Otherwise we're going to overflow. And that's our first two algorithms. And here we have a more complicated lambda, generic lambda, in order to do the sort of the calculation that each digit adds in terms of value. But it looks very similar to what we had previously in our second for loop in the last solution. So getting the value of our digit, multiplying it by the weight, which we're going to get in reverse order, and then multiplying it by I. And once we have this lambda here, we can just pass it into our accumulate function and then return that right away. So I personally like this solution the best out of all of them, but I've gotten comments in the videos that these solutions are less readable, and I will agree that there is a steep learning curve to, I wouldn't even say steep, there's a learning curve to lambdas, but once you can get over that learning curve, I think that this code is a lot more readable. And once you are in your C++ career, people are going to really appreciate you using the STL algorithms instead of hand-rolling code on your own. And the last thing to talk about, once again, is the time complexity, which, of course, for this solution is the same as the last solution. It is linear.
As always, if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, hit that like button. If you want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter for reminders 30 minutes before contests start, and you can find all of the code shown in my videos on my GitHub page. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.